You
Hey
won't
everyone.
believe this.
So, funny story.
Seriously?
I spent years trying to get good at digital art, like watching hundreds of hours of tutorials, buying ridiculously expensive drawing tablets, the whole 9 yards. Last week, I typed a weird sentence into a text box, and a piece of code that literally does not have a brain outpainted my entire portfolio. Like, embarrassingly bad. If you have been on the internet lately, you know exactly what I am talking about. Human artists are currently experiencing a massive collective existential crisis. And honestly, we have every single right to be freaking out. Overnight, seemingly out of nowhere, a machine learned how to paint exactly like Van Gogh. It learned how to design corporate branding better than a boutique agency. It is literally winning global state fair art competitions right now, all without a single drop of human soul. It feels like the universe just pulled off the biggest magic trick in history, but absolutely nobody is clapping. Think about horses when the automobile was invented. For thousands of years, horses were the absolute kings of transportation. Then some guy named Henry Ford rolls up, and suddenly, the horse is out of a job. That is exactly how creatives feel right now. Now, if you spend 5 minutes on Twitter, everyone assumes they know exactly how this magic trick works. The popular narrative is that AI art is just a high-tech plagiarism machine. People think there is a tiny art gremlin inside the computer operating a giant digital vacuum. They think it is silently copy-pasting millions of stolen Google images, cutting them up and mashing them together into a cheap, soulless collage. It makes total sense, right? It feels really good to just point at the screen and call it a thief. But what if I told you the truth about how AI actually makes art is far more terrifying? What if I told you it is completely legal? And what if I told you that human artists are currently fighting the exact wrong enemy? Later in this video, we are going to crack open the black box of AI. And I promise you, the actual answer will entirely change how you see creativity itself. By the end of this, you won't just finally understand what AI art actually is. You are going to know exactly how to bulletproof your own creative future against it. Let me show you why this is so urgent. Look at this digital painting right here. A human artist spent 40 agonizing hours on this. Hand cramps, countless layers, complete mental breakdowns over the lighting. It is a masterpiece of human effort and obsession. Now look at this second painting right next to it. It looks nearly identical. The lighting is flawless, the composition is stunning, the textures are impossibly rich. An AI generated this second piece for me in exactly 4 seconds this morning. I was literally just taking a sip of my coffee. I typed a sentence, swallowed my espresso, and boom, masterpiece on demand. It feels like cheating. It feels fundamentally wrong. It feels like waking up and realizing gravity just stopped working for everyone except robots. But it is happening right now on millions of screens across the world. The barrier to entry for making jaw-dropping visuals just dropped to 0. So, what do? We figure out how the magic trick works. Today, we are going to decode the actual science behind how these machines dream. We are going to untangle the massive multi-billion-dollar legal warfare that is currently tearing the internet apart. And most importantly, we are going to build a survival guide for modern creators. Because here is the brutal reality, guys. It does not matter if you are a freelance graphic designer, a professional photographer, or just a normal person who casually scrolls through their phone. Your digital reality is about to be completely flooded. Imagine standing in a dry riverbed. You hear a low rumble in the distance. That rumble is the dam breaking. An absolute ocean of synthetic media
is rushing in right now. It is going to touch every movie you watch, every ad you see, and every video game you play. You basically have 2 choices right now. You either learn how to surf this massive wave, or you let it pull you under and drown you. And to build a surfboard, you first need to understand the water. You need to know exactly what is happening inside that glowing digital brain when you hit the generate button. Because the machine isn't actually looking up pictures on Google and pasting them together. It is doing something much, much weirder. So let's break down what Stable Diffusion actually is. Let's use a blender. Imagine you take 1,000,000 pictures of cats, every single cat on the internet. You throw them all into a giant digital blender. You hit puree. You blend them until every single pixel is completely destroyed. You are left with a screen full of pure TV static, just a gray, noisy, chaotic sludge. Now, imagine you hire a mathematically obsessed detective. You hand him this cup of gray sludge. You say, "Find the cat." This is exactly what the AI is doing. It is a visual reverse blender. It is not building a cute little collage. It is unblending the sludge. The machine looks at pure random static noise. It uses extremely high-level math to slowly remove that noise. It subtracts the chaos until a completely new, never-before-seen cat appears. This is the absolute biggest misconception about AI art. It honestly blew my mind when I finally grasped it. The AI does not have a secret hard drive full of stolen images. It is not silently copy-pasting millions of Google images together in the dark. If you unplugged this AI entirely from the internet, it would still work perfectly. It doesn't remember pictures at all. It remembers concepts. Think about the actual file size for a second. A stable diffusion model is only a few gigabytes large, yet it can generate infinite images. You cannot physically fit billions of high-resolution pictures into a file the size of a standard movie download. It holds the mathematical probability of a shadow falling across a cheekbone. It remembers the exact geometric curvature of a cyberpunk neon sign. It knows the mathematical concept of shiny. But how did it learn those concepts in the first place? Well, here's where things get messy. We enter step 1 of the process, the scraping. You cannot teach a machine what light is without showing it light. So tech companies built massive digital vacuum cleaners. They released them onto the open web. They sucked up absolutely everything. They created mind-bogglingly huge datasets. The most famous one is called Lion 5B. That stands for 5 billion images. 5 billion. Paintings, professional photographs, medical scans, weird internet memes, and probably your awkward high school prom photos. They scraped it all without asking. They fed this massive ocean of human history into the machine to build its brain. Once that brain is built, we move to step 2, the whisper. This is where you actually talk to the machine. You might have heard the term prompt engineering. That is really just a fancy Silicon Valley way of saying typing words really well. If you type, "make a cool cyberpunk city," the AI yawns. You get a generic, boring digital poster. It looks cheap and plastic. But watch what happens when a master talks to it. They type something completely insane. Neon-lit Tokyo alleyway at midnight, heavy rain, volumetric fog, anamorphic lens flare, shot on 35mm film, f1.8 aperture, Unreal Engine 5 render, masterpiece. Suddenly, you are not a guy sitting at a keyboard in your pajamas. You are a Hollywood director. You are speaking the language of math back to the machine. And right before your eyes, you watch the magic happen. That gray TV static starts to organize. It looks exactly like someone slowly wiping steam off a bathroom mirror. The pixels shift, the shapes form, the fog lifts. In exactly 4 seconds, you have an
Absolute masterpiece. Which brings us to step 3, the human touch. The internet absolutely loves to make it look like you just type a sentence and become a millionaire artist overnight. That is a total lie. Professional studios are not using AI to just hit print and walk away. It is not a replacement. It is a highly caffeinated brainstorming buddy. Real working artists use it to generate 50 rough storyboards in a single hour. Or they use it to quickly generate a cool brick texture for a background building. Then, they take that raw AI image, they drop it into Photoshop, they pick up their digital pen, and they spend 10 hours painting over it. They heavily rely on their actual human skills to fix all the bizarre, lazy mistakes the AI made. Because the AI makes mistakes, really creepy ones, and those specific mistakes actually reveal a massive, glaring flaw in how this entire system was built from the ground up. Remember those 5 billion images I just mentioned? The ones vacuumed off the internet to train the machine? Well, it turns out the people who actually painted those original images are starting to realize exactly what happened to their life's work, and they are out for blood. And honestly, you cannot blame them. Welcome to the Frankenstein dataset problem. Imagine spending 20 years perfecting a highly specific, totally unique watercolor style. You poured your soul into it. You built a career on it. You bought groceries with it. Then, a tech billionaire essentially runs a giant digital vacuum cleaner over your entire online portfolio. They feed it to a massive server farm, and suddenly, anyone with an internet connection can generate a masterpiece in your exact, painfully earned style for free in 3 seconds. That is not a cynical hypothetical. That is playing out in reality right now.
Massive class action copyright lawsuits are currently tearing through the courts. Huge communities of artists are suing the creators of these AI tools. They are furious because their distinct, identifiable life's work was ingested into the machine without a single drop of consent. Nobody asked them, nobody compensated them, nobody even sent a polite email. The tech companies are fighting back. They argue it falls perfectly under fair use. They say the AI is just learning from the art. They compare it to a human art student wandering through the Louvre, looking at a Picasso, and then going home to paint something similar. But working artists are extremely quick to point out the flaw in that logic. A human art student does not mathematically memorize 5 billion images and then mass-produce commercial knockoffs at the speed of light to put original creators out of business. But here's the really funny part. Despite having access to basically all recorded human visual history, the machine is still remarkably stupid in some highly specific ways. It has a terrifying, glaring Achilles heel: hands. You have definitely seen them. Those horrifying, fleshy tarantulas with 7 knuckles and thumbs growing straight out of wrists. Absolute uncanny valley nightmare fuel. Why does a multi-billion-dollar supercomputer struggle to draw a simple human hand when a bored middle schooler can doodle one in the margins of a mouth notebook? Because the machine does not know what a hand actually does. It has never picked up a cup of coffee. It has never felt a high five. It has never held someone else's hand. It only knows what a hand looks like flattened into a 2-dimensional grid of pixels. To the algorithm, a hand is just a weird, wiggly cluster of flesh-colored tubes that usually hangs out near the end of an arm. Sometimes there are 4 tubes, sometimes there are 11. It literally doesn't care. It lacks the fundamental physical context of how joints lock, how tendons pull, or why knuckles even exist. It does not understand human anatomy. It only understands pixel statistics. So let's look at
The big picture here. We explored the insane reverse blender magic of diffusion models. We unpacked the absolute dark art of prompt engineering. And we waded through the messy, incredibly valid legal war over the stolen training data. Where does that actually leave human creators? Are we totally doomed? Is human creativity officially obsolete? Take a deep breath. We have actually been here before. Let us rewind to the 1800s. The camera was just invented, and portrait painters absolutely panicked. They thought their entire industry was completely dead overnight. Why on earth would someone pay a guy to stare at them for 3 weeks when a machine can perfectly capture their face in a fraction of a second? But the camera did not kill the painter. It freed the painter. Because painters no longer had to act like human photocopiers, they were forced to evolve. They invented Impressionism, Cubism, Surrealism. They started painting things a machine could never capture: emotion, movement, dreams, anger. AI is just the new camera. It is extremely good at generating technically pretty pixels, but it has absolutely zero intent. It has zero trauma. It has never felt love or heartbreak or the bizarre existential dread of paying rent. And those things, those feelings, those are the actual ingredients of art. The AI is not the artist. It never will be. It is just a highly capable, slightly sociopathic paintbrush. You need to stop panicking about being replaced by a line of Python code. Instead, you need to figure out how to inject your deeply messy, totally unique human perspective into this completely new medium. If you want to stay ahead of this insane AI curve, hit subscribe. I have actually linked a starter guide to ethical AI tools and some incredible prompt frameworks down in the description to get you moving in the right direction. But I really want to hear from you guys. Is AI art a massive leap for human evolution, or is it just the ultimate digital thief? Let us debate down in the comments.